we're good. So I have Ed, who's flown in from London specially, which we're very happy to. He's come over with his family and a whole tribe and all his staff and everything. He has London's Incipio group, and we're going to hear more about that. And Pauline is the CFO of one of my favorite multi-branded restaurants groups here, Blackspoon, which I'm excited to kind of get under your bonnet in a minute, if that's okay, Pauline. And this is a really interesting subject for me, because I think at one stage when I first came here, I had 14 restaurant brands that I ran at one time. So I mean that was fun and games, from own brands, brands we created, franchise brands, partnership brands. I mean, there was everything. There's the whole kitchen sink in there. So I want you to explain a little bit more about your businesses in a second, but it's going to be really interesting coming from England, and there's this almighty storm going on in England at the moment, and my WhatsApp has been going crazy this morning, because I led some commentary on Dubai this morning about, you know, the impact of costs on our business, from labor to rent to everything. I mean, there's extraordinary pressure on that. So I'm really interested to see what's happening in London and really what you're doing here, because I'm pretty sure it's not just a holiday and not just GRIF. So whether you're checking us out here. And then from Pauline's standpoint, you know, yes, there is a global issue, you know, when it comes to cost and impact on the business, but I think less so here, and we shouldn't ignore it. But you know, it's always important to have the CFO at the table. So I just want to kind of understand a little bit more about that. So just for the audience, and just so we can familiarize the audience with your brands, Pauline, why don't you talk to us and tell us more about Blackspoon?
So I work with Blackspoon Management. It's a local company that was founded in Dubai. It was founded in Dubai. We created a diversified portfolio of brands. You're familiar probably with Alo Beirut, our star brand, Masti, Bombay Bungalow, Ibn al-Bahr. All these brands came from the creativity of our founders, and inspired definitely by this market, and in particular Dubai, and the diversity in Dubai.
Thank you. And it really is a diverse group,
diverse,
isn't it?
From QSR to casual dining to fine dining, as well to licensed concepts like Masti. We always win like one of the best cocktail bars in Dubai. So definitely it is a diversified portfolio, talking to everyone in Dubai, which is a cosmopolitan city. You can tackle every market, every nationality in this world.
Super, so you know where to find me on a Friday evening, which is at Nasty's Cocktail Bar for sure. Ed, fill us in on what's happening in London and your business.
So well, first of all, thank you very much for having me. Great to be here.
It's a pleasure, good to have you.
First time to Dubai, and what a place.
You ain't seen nothing yet, you've only been there for 2 days.
So I'm CEO of Incipio Group, which is a hospitality group based in London. We've got we're 6 years old, we've got a variety of different operating models, and currently have 8 bars and restaurants. We generally tend to take sort of rather large venues, so all our venues between sort of 600 and 800 capacity. And I think to date we've had about 2.5 million people through our doors. So it's going okay, but times I think are about to get tough, as you sort of alluded to earlier. So there's a lot of focus on us at the moment to sort of really make sure that we're sort of streamlined and ready for what I think are going to be quite significant challenges to the sector.
Yeah, I try and avoid for the last year or so that C word. Well, I try and avoid it most times, but I mean the COVID word I'm trying to ignore, because I think we're into a new wave of impact on the business now. I think we're out of it. And I think especially in Dubai and the UAE, where we really have come out thick and fast, and our post-COVID economy now is very, very strong. What is it about your brands that make you win, Pauline? What are you focusing on?
So I think mainly the authenticity of our brands. Definitely each brand came from a certain place of this world, be it from Lebanon or from Bombay, from India. So first it's the authenticity and delivering properly this brand, and being relevant to the customer. So you need to know what the customer needs, what they can afford to pay. You have to also be diversified in your menu. For example, Alo Beirut, we say it's for everyone, it's for every day. So if you look at our menu, we're serving breakfast, lunch, after party, dinner. We're serving families, young people. So as much as your brand is able to talk to the consumer, you will make a win in your brand.
And I think that really is important, the authenticity standpoint, isn't it? Especially here in this marketplace, where I think you'll rely a lot on the license side of it, and a lot of these casual brands, particularly in this market, you know, Ala Beirut, really does resonate, doesn't it?
Yeah. And definitely, it's a very competitive market. Like
Very.
sometimes people would say it's saturated. Do you really want to open a new concept in Dubai? Well, when you look at the market, when you look at Hassa Street, for example, how busy it is, full of many concepts, Arab, Lebanese, Levant cuisine. So you see, like, there is always potential. Since people are able to deliver, to sell food, then the market is able to accept more brands in Dubai.
It's so true. Hessa Street, for those who don't know Dubai, is one of the main drags that going into the desert. And all up one side of the road now, it's Beirut, isn't it? Yeah. You know, Beirut's moved there. And there's a line of restaurants. And I think over the next year or so, that's going to be such a cool place to go and hang out down there, isn't it? And you're the kind of the start of it. You kind of kick it off going all the way back, don't you? Give us a perspective of that particular. I know I'm gate crashing all the questions here, you know, but you know, because this is quite a small business with very high turnover, and I promise not to use the D word, the delivery word, but that's busy there, huh?
Yeah, it is busy. So when we talk about our business and we say that delivery is mainly 50 to 60% of our business, you should not also underestimate the dine-in part, because it's really a big amount. So I'm not going to mention volumes and the figures here, although I'm the CFO, but I'm not going to mention any number. But so it's a huge business, definitely. Delivery helped us during COVID time to sustain our business, and we count on delivery, honestly, during especially the seasonality of Dubai. Like, let's say during summer period when people are traveling, it's good to have another, let's say, revenue channel to count on. And this is part of the diversity. So when we say it's a diversified portfolio, it's not only about the brands and the cuisines, but also the revenue channels that you are targeting within your business.
Yeah, it's cool. Let's go back to London now, and we're going to ping to and from across, and because I'm really keen to learn about, you know, what is it that's making your brands win, and right now.
I think what sets us apart in London is sort of the size and scale of our venues. You know, we operate very large spaces where they are. And I think what sets Incipio apart from the competition is our focus first and foremost on venue curation. We really want to make sure that when our guests come to our venue, they are blown away by the sort of design, the music, the sound, the feel of the space they're in. F&B is clearly a very key part of what we do, and that's the sort of revenue drivers within it. But what draws people to our venues is how we sort of individually and bespokely sort of curate the spaces to the sort of location they're in, the size and shape of the venue that we're taking on.
It's interesting. I talk a lot about F&B not being unsustainable on its own, but it needs that third element, FB&E, and Emma touched on it earlier, the entertainment side of it, food attainment. Is that something that you...
I think that's critical.
Yeah.
I mean, it's absolutely critical with our venues. You know, our sites predominantly are quite destinational, so they're a little bit out of the way sometimes in what is a very sort of well-connected city.
Yeah.
Our spaces are sometimes a little bit off the beaten track. So we rely on a huge amount on drawing people there, and for us, getting the food and the drink right is absolutely critical, but we've got to have other add-ons which really draw people to that space, and that could be, again, around the design, the look and feel of the space, the music, the DJs we bring in, and down to every little sort of touch points within the space, that when people go away, they remember lots of different things about the venue rather than just what they sort of ate and drunk when they were there.
Curious to understand, Ed, that where we've now come out now of this dreaded last few years, and we can now fill the business again. You know, we can put the lights on, and we can really crank it up and get busy. The impact of your cost base on the business now, how much of a challenge is that for you?
It's definitely a challenge. I think the worst is yet to come.
Sure.
So we're doing a lot of work at the moment to sort of streamline our cost base, be very, very smart on that front there. But for me, it's that old saying, control the controllables. And for us at the moment, the big cost we're trying to really manage in London is around utilities. And for the various reasons, those are really rocketing for us. So it's again about sort of educating a team, educating ourselves as a company at ways we can really mitigate that and to lower it. It is something that is only going to go one way, but we can really sort of dampen that down by being very sort of smart and clever. But you know, it's we're coming up to a very critical period for us, which is the sort of Christmas trade. We really want to make sure we do very well at that point. It's Q1 next year, which I think is going to get quite tasty because, you know, when our sales are generally for us as a business our lowest, our costs, particularly around utilities, are likely to be its highest. So we've got to start doing the planning now to make sure that when that comes, we're ready, we're prepared, and we've got a plan in place.
You know, it's interesting. Gavin Smith, who's the MD of Pizza Pilgrims, is one of my former apprentices.
He's a great guy.
Yeah, really good. I trained him. No, I mean, his observation was, you know, sure, we're all going to be in the same boat in a year's time. You know, everyone's going to have the same utilities, so we're all going to be there in it together. So prices are going to have to go up with the year. Everyone's going to have to pay for this. Are we seeing the same here, Pauline, as what we're seeing in Europe?
Yeah, I would say maybe it's easier than what's happening in Europe so far. But from our perspective, like as Blackspoon, what we're doing is we're trying to be creative as much as possible. So the fact that we are, let's say here, we are in the shoes of a franchisor, not franchisee, we have the flexibility and agility to be creative in terms of menu, in terms of LTOs, in terms of promotions, whatever we're doing. Also in terms of sourcing our ingredients. So definitely by keeping the quality top, but however, we can still manage to source locally from many farms now in Dubai. There are a lot of things that can be done. So if the margin, we have some pressure on the margin, we cannot dump everything on the consumer. We cannot increase our prices straightforward. We can still maybe improve certain, let's say, P&L lines, other costs that can support us to maintain a good EBITDA at the end of the day.
We're going to keep a bit of time at the end, everyone, for some questions. So if you do have any questions, just think of them and throw your hands up. So we'll keep a couple of minutes at the end for them. I'm curious to understand homegrown brands. You've designed your own brands. You've created yours, and I think you've done the same as well. Was that by default? Was that by accident? Did you get around a table and plan this and fill a gap in the market? How did it come about?
I think just the sort of nature of our venues and being destinational, we needed each venue to be sort of unique in its own way. It was a big worry of ours that if they were all under the same brand, same name, we'd run the risk of the customer, frankly, getting a little bit bored and not being able to move our customers and our loyal database between the different venues. So we took an approach where, probably made it harder for ourselves, but we took an approach where each venue was different, had an individual element to it. And it's really worked. You know, we speak to some of our guests who go to 4 of our different venues during a week, and they don't quite realise it because they're coming under different brands and whatnot. But I have a good feeling that if they were all the same, that wouldn't quite be the case. So it's by design. We've taken that approach.
I wrote a piece this weekend about restaurant brands in the UK and in Europe, actually seeing Dubai and the Middle East as a global opportunity to grow and actually kind of mitigate the cost base over in England and take the advantage here. Is that something you're looking to do as well?
I think I arrived in Dubai on Wednesday and I went for, I say, a run around the marina, more of a walk, but going around there, it's hard not to be inspired by this place. It's somewhere I think in the future we would love to be, and I think it's about choosing the right timing, the right partners, and doing our homework to make sure that when we do go abroad, we bring an offering that people actually warm to and they want. I think sometimes people can feel everybody likes what we do and this is going to work where we're at, but I don't think it's quite the case. So I think yes, definitely warming to Dubai. And I've only been here 4 days, so God knows what I'll be like in a week.
Yeah. Talking of right partners, I know that Pauline, your growth strategy is organic and owned as well as franchise as well, isn't it?
So, yeah, definitely we're expanding in the UAE. We're opening more locations soon, like in JBR and also in Abu Dhabi through a franchise. And we're looking to franchise in the GCC. So currently we are evaluating, of course, the opportunity with many partners, many potential partners, to see who is the right person to take this brand, take care of it, and expand it globally. Yeah.
When you say globally, you just
GCC,
mentioned the GCC
MENA,
and then globally.
Also, we're looking also to Europe. Yeah.
Do you have a strategic plan where you'd like to go? Would you like to go to London, with Paris,
Yes,
New
definitely.
York?
So our strategy, it goes through tiers. Like priority definitely would be KSA and Egypt, and then from there, we go to Europe and other countries. Yes.
It's very exciting. I can't wait to sit on the stage here in a couple of years and see where you have taken it. It would be very exciting. Before I ask another question, anything from the audience? I can't see you very well because I've got light shining on top of me. Anybody want to ask anything of Ed and Pauline? Oh, okay. Go. Thank you, James.
Hello, everyone. Just a question for both of you. You mentioned about food and the complementary services, the music and all, and being in a cultural center, that food is only complementing the offering, it's not the main offering. The question is, how sustainable is having a brand and keep pushing new menu, new food, a new brand next to it, music and all? How far you need to know, stop, let's bring the new concept. For a place that's actually usually 5 to 3 years for each concept when we cannot change. So how healthy is to have a brand? A year, 2, 3? What's your concept of that? Because both of you are concept creators. Thank you.
It's a really good question, isn't it? Your sustainability of brands and the longevity of brands, and something I've been working on a lot, actually. Fascinating.
Definitely. Our group, we started with our first concept in 2014. It was Bombay Bungalow, and with the success of this brand, we started to create more brands to the market. And I already mentioned how competitive it is. So it's not also to sustain it in terms of strong operation, as well to sustain it among the other competitors. So you need to always be creative. You need to be always put effort, especially in the service, in your people, in every layer of your business, because if you lose it, you will not, and if at any problem, you will not be able to bring it back to what it used to do. Especially in F&B, reputation is very important for the brand. So quality, making sure quality is good, people are always getting a good customer experience, as well as entertainment. We have also some venues like Masti, Ibn al-Bahar, we play music, we have the brunches. So any activity is somewhere, it talks first to the new customers to attract them, as well as the loyal, because they might get bored from having the same food, the same music every time. So you need to always improve while maintaining the same brand, of course, the core identity of that brand.
It's a brilliant question, and it's something we sort of think about a lot. I think for me, with every brand, you always start out with sort of a planned journey of how it's going to go, but they sort of take on a little bit of their life of their own in a way, and how they develop. I think what's really important, particularly where we come from as a group, is to make sure there's an element of malleability with your brand, that you're constantly there thinking about how it's going to, you can tweak it, move it, change it, and switch it up when you need to, and make sure that you're always sort of current and holding a place with your sort of customer. It's not easy, you know. I think we've certainly chosen a harder path going this way. But for me, I think you run the risk of less sort of systemic risk within your business, and making sure that you don't sort of fall out of favour, and can always have that element of sort of tweaking it and changing it as time moves on. So I think it's critical for me, and I think for our group, to make sure that we have that element there.
I think it's really, really important, if I may, is to have this absolute backbone of rigor in the business, to kind of protect the entrepreneurship around it, so you can build that brand for the best long-term interests for all the stakeholders in that business. And from my time in England, which was quite a long time, and working for big organizations, that's what we focused on. You know, it was shareholder return and customer delight and making great memories all the time, isn't it? And we got 1 minute, 9 seconds. Anybody else? What's next for you, Ed?
Oh, I think for ourselves, it's we're an ambitious company. You know, we want to become one of the sort of most exciting hospitality businesses in the UK. We also want to be one of the best people to work for. So we're really sort of focused on making sure we nail that aspect there. And then we'd love to be based abroad. I think it's a real dream of ours, and very much looking forward to getting people's opinions and views on the best way to approach that, and work it that way. But I think whilst I think there are challenges ahead, I think it's got the opportunity here to be a very exciting future for hospitality.
Cool. And it's a relatively recent phenomena for here now, for this part of the world, where it's not just brands coming in, it's brands going out, isn't it? Do you have an international outpost ready to talk to us about, Pauline?
So it's Alo Beirut, definitely our brand that we want to expand in other countries. And I wanted to add to the previous question. So when your brand became scalable and you can really expand it, this is a way to sustain it and to build this equity across many countries.
Yes.
So sometimes it's the format of the brand that helps you as well, and the way you design it to be really scalable. And that's why we are thinking about Out of Beirut as our star brand that is already to go worldwide.
I absolutely agree with that, and you know I'm a super fan of that brand anyway. We're over time by 19 seconds. I'm ever so sorry about that to crash the agenda, but thank you, Ed, and thank you, Pauline,
Thank you
for
very
your
much.
debuts on GRIF.